We now move on to a panel discussion, and this is on catalyzing social change, harnessing the power of ESG, CSR, and community engagement for sustainable impact. Now, we have seen that the government is doing its part when it comes to sustainability, and there is a lot the government can do with plain laws and regulations. And there are some states which are no plastic states, where you will not get a plastic bag should you go shopping. There are some states which are totally organic. Sikkim is a state where they do not use pesticides, and we have a completely organic state. There is a lot of awareness in the country, and we are seeing this becoming more diffused by the day. But this session will examine the increasing importance of environmental, social, and governance (ESG) factors and corporate social responsibility (CSR) in driving sustainable practices across industries. This panel will bring together experts to discuss how ESG and CSR principles can lead to meaningful environmental and social impacts while also promoting long-term business success. The conversation will focus on how the evolving role of these frameworks is shaping a more sustainable and responsible future. So please put your hands together and welcome on stage our speakers for this session. Please welcome on stage our moderator, Mr. Sudhir Mishra, founder and managing partner, Trust Legal and Door Tenant, United Kingdom. Please welcome our other speakers, Dr. Abhilash Raghavan, Director, ESG Sustainability and Safety, HSEI. Please welcome Mr. Ashish Ahlawat, AVP Digital Marketing and E-Commerce, Microlabs, and Mr. Chinu Quatra, Social Influencer and Founder, Khushia Foundation. I have requests Mr. Mishra to please kickstart this discussion on ESG and CSR for sustainable impact.
So I kept it brief because I was knowing that I will have to come back again. But before we go to the ESG part, because we have representation from the industry, consultancy, I just want to tell you that a very interesting thing is happening across the globe, and but one first moment could be that whatever we are going to discuss today, we have to bring out the stories. What is a story? The power of the stories. Because like when Kamal started with sustainability, this has become now the story. Everybody is trying to talk to that how this will be the new concept. I think our biggest problem in, at least in the country from where I come from, I was working on a assignment with textile industry, and we realized that there is a place in South India which now does zero discharge, because their entire dyeing industry is now in zero discharge. I'm talking about Tirpur, which was one of the most polluted cluster for textile industry. And I tried to search it on LinkedIn, I tried to search it on Google, but Kamal, I failed to find stories. When will we start making stories like iPhone, that iPhone 16 has come and there is a queue as long as the general elections, and people have not eaten for 18 hours standing outside the mall? Or there is a guy whose interview is viral and somebody made a comment on Twitter that his grandfather must be a very wealthy person. He said, I'm standing here since 11 o'clock in the morning yesterday. My number will come, I'll be the first person who will buy an iPhone. So I did investigation. I don't think any one of us will remember who manufactured Xiaomi, OnePlus, Nokia, Samsung, but we all know Tim Cook and Steve Jobs. I think sustainability needs to find its own Steve Jobs and the stories like Apple. That's your first major challenge. So, with that, I will ask you that, will you say that how any ESG story you want to share, anything which makes it very interesting for people to absorb?
So, firstly, thank you so much, sir, for this question. And I am here just because of the story My personal story.
Yours is a story actually, the beach part, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So, when I was in college, I hosted Nature's Club, and at that time, people laughed at me because it was just an EVS subject, and the subject which is not having any importance. कभी पढ़ाई करके नहीं गए उसके ऊपर, and still passed those subjects. Later on, when I got hit by a personal incident in my life where I was into suicidal thoughts. I attempted suicide twice. I wanted to come out of that. So I took the path of social service. And that gave me a second birth in 2014. And from there, I understood that how important it is to give back to the society. So currently we are having shelter homes, we are into education and environment. So I became a hero. I am on this dais just because of cleaning beaches. So earlier I was known as the kachre wala. Today we are known as safai wala. So there's a shift in the mindset of the people.
So I'll just make a pause here because I know where you will take it. It will become very interesting. So if you do Google type beach cleaning, the Bombay beaches come and this man's name comes now. Please give him a clap what he has achieved. He has got all the film stars, all the people, all the politicians, and you have seen him picking it, not for effects, not for doing. So this is what is the Chipko moment for beaches actually, where you are actually doing the Chipko moment. So that's why we remember Chipko moment, you remember your beat. So now you can proceed.
So, but still we are considered as underdog. I was telling Harshvardhan sir the same thing right now because he's one of the inspiration to me the moment he came to the environment ministry and I could see that environment ministry.
Hey, I'll give another one just to make it interesting. You now need to get Roman Magsaysay award. That can open up many, many things. People can become chief minister of Delhi if you get that award and come into public service.
Having said that, sitting in a closed room and talking about environment is very easy, I would say. But walking on the ground when you see that your environment is dying and with the pollution made by yourself. So the beaches पे कचरा ऊपर से नहीं आया है, हम नहीं फेंका है. And we have to work on a solution. The solution is maximizing recycling in India, like other countries, where recycling is considered to be not a CSR or a profit-making project, where when it comes to CSR, it is all about put up the money where only the fixed cost is required, not the operational cost. We want to come up with those helping hands who can take up more recycling units and help the country to breathe in.
Very well. On this note, I'll tell you, here Dr. Khalid Pasha is here. He has come from International Union for Conservation of Nature. So I used to think that nobody will notice, as I said in my initial talk. First 10 years, I was chasing every poachers in the district courts. He was witness in few of those matters. So 4 or 5 times I was told to leave the court because there was a chance I will be shot by the poachers or somebody connected with them. And we are talking about Veerappan of North India, Sansachan kind of people. Openly I'm saying on this stage. All the time the threats was there on our life. When you work on the ground, then you know the meaning of the forest. Similarly, when you work with your own hands, you know the meaning of, and I think conservation needs that. So people Babas, or the waterman, Dr. Randa Singh, or the pond man, or you, these are the people who can connect us with the real effort of sustainability. I totally agree with you. Unless you have done that, you cannot make a large impact. Ashish, where do you want to take this story?
Thank you for this question, and Chinu, I would say great work that you have done. I have myself, been in Mumbai for 7-8 years and have seen the difference. The beaches have become a lot more cleaner. So I would not have such a compelling personal story to share as Chinu, but I definitely have a corporate story to share. So, and he has already given the background for it, saying that beaches are being polluted and plastic is one of the biggest pollutants today in the beaches and anywhere else we go. So I represent microlabs, right? And just to give you a little bit of background, Mr. Bhasin also mentioned this, that we have to move to sustainable options and everything. But there is a challenge inherent in pharma industry or healthcare industry that we cannot have substitutes, right? Needles have to be plastic needles, IV sets have to be of plastic, right? So how do we, as a pharma company, make an impact? And we decided that we have to act on this. So we came up with a very innovative solution called as plastic neutral solution, right? So wherein we chose our biggest brand, which is Dolo 650, and started work on it with a agency known as Repurpose Global. So what we did is we calculated how much plastic are we generating from our operations. So that came up to be around 350 metric tons of plastic is what we generate from Dolo 650 manufacturing. We cannot replace it, let's be very honest, right? Because then it will have problems like, the medicine not being stable and all that. So how we dealt with is we started doing like Chinu mentioned, we have to act on the recycling project. We are now sponsoring 2 recycling projects. One in Udupi district of Karnataka known as Project Anmol Kinara, Kinara being the beach word in Hindi. And also we are sponsoring one plastic recycling plant in Bangalore, Project Sada Shakti. So combined together, we will be removing 350 metric tons of plastic. So
Very good. That's amazing. That's very good.
And very proudly today I sit here and say that by this initiative, Dolo 650 has become the first plastic neutral brand of India. So the amount of plastic that we generated, we recycled it. And the recycling plants actually have a lot of technology involved as well. I come from that background wherein we are using technology to trace every bit of plastic that we collect and we recycle and we do everything. And one more additional point is the social aspect of it, wherein around 2,000 waste managers are now getting consistent jobs for the entire year and a life of dignity. So this is...
I'll just, Ashish, you have made such amazing observation. You started with so much of modesty, whether it's my work or Chinu's work, but you have, I just want to tell you something on the ground. National Green Tribunal has been dealing with series of matters on monumental waste which Delhi has or many states have. And we have tried to make waste to energy plants, recycling, and we are still searching questions. When I forget about answers, we are still searching questions because every day the questions are emerging. And the second part is that even to process the waste which we generate in cities like Delhi, we have almost given up. We are not even talking about more sewage treatment plants, which the courts are saying, but you said you will do it. But in next 2 years also, we don't see them adding up. So if you have a story of recycling plant, we all can combine our energy. I can ask Kamal to make a story about it and tell it, put more funds in your hand that you make maybe 40 or 50 such recycling plants in the whole country. Because we are not having many examples. Why did I mention the forest and the wildlife? The reason was we succeeded there. And nobody believes it. We don't have game reserves in India. We don't kill our animals in this country. So I would say that these are tricky areas. If you have succeeded, tell us, we all will come and we will make about it and we will talk about it. So what are the plans to scale up that recycling story?
So the plans for scaling up are like we experimented with one brand, and of course we'll want to do it to other brands as well, and maybe to other part of country. So we are headquartered in Bangalore, so we are focused more on Karnataka currently. We would want to take it to a national level initially, and then maybe other countries where we have operations as well. So those are the plans for now. And yes, I mean currently it's been going great.
Very well. Dr. Abhilash, I will leave it to you that you have seen 2-3 stories now. Where do you see the ESG debate going and environmental debate going?
Good evening, everyone. And first of all, thank you very much for ISW Council, especially Mr. Kamal and his team, for giving an opportunity to share the dice with some of the dignitaries here. And regarding the point which Mr. Sudhir was mentioning, so he mentioned about Tirupur. So I'm very close to this place because in the year 2002, so I was working on a project there, And this Tirupur, if you remember, this place is famous for the cotton, textile and bleaching industry. So at that point in time, there were roughly around 1,000 kind of unorganized textile dyeing and bleaching units. And during our study, because I was part of a project funded by National Environmental Engineering Research Institute from Nagpur, and I got an opportunity to go to each and every units which are located in this Tirupur area. And one of the important things that I've noticed there is the kind of pollution these industries are contributing to the local the water bodies. So there was a river called Noel River. If anyone from the south, they can recollect this name. So this is completely a tributary or a channel flowing with all the textile effluents. So from that point in time onwards, I think thanks to the kind of focus from the government, the Pollution Control Board and all, to insist on a zero liquid discharge plants. So this actually has resulted in wide-scale improvement. And if you look at the case there, so it is mandated to have zero liquid discharge plants across all the units. And if by any chance, if the infrastructure doesn't allow a particular small unit, they can tie up with a common effluent treatment plant called a CETP. So invariably, the government regulations were so strict, and thanks to that, I've seen, because the study was before the SLD, and then after the installation of SLD. So there is significant change that has happened, and of course, there is a lot of investment that incurred.
So I'll just tell you very interesting. Last week only we were doing this conference with the textile industry, and I was not aware about the Tirupur success. And I can tell you that so far as our tiger story is concerned, the world knows. But if you open any social media platform, they talk about how much pollution is there, how India is not careful. And my biggest challenge is, and people like Kamal and many CEOs who are present in this, we have to realize one big contradiction as a country we are living in. We are the 5th largest economy, and very soon will be the 3rd largest economy. 4 years or 5 years back, 7 years back, we used to say, no, the West has polluted a lot, so we have also got time to do our carbon footprints, and they have done everything, so we'll take time. At the same time, we say that we are a responsible superpower in the making. Now, how do you explain this contradiction? That's a contradiction number 1. So you don't have to worry about, thankfully now we don't pursue that stand. In fact, 10 years back that was very apparent, will not be bound by any major climate change thing. Now we are saying we will do voluntary cuts, we'll be net zero 2070. Tirupur, I'm going to Tirupur. In fact, I promised them I'll go to Tirupur. My idea is that if I go to Gorakhpur, if I go to Tirupur, we create new areas which can be the Davos for the sustainable development. I would call them the Davos of the sustainable development debate. Or koi option hai nahi, we don't have option. Now you know about Tirupur, but how many people know that Tirupur has managed to do zero discharge for textile industry? The same Bhilwara has to do, same other clusters have to do. And then you have to do what Bangladesh is doing in a manner which is not being told to the world. They do all kinds of environmental pollutions, but they sell more than us in the international market because they may be finding some stories there. So how do you think our storytelling capabilities, I'm only focusing on that for a reason, that you all will go back and think about the stories. There is a private university in India, one of the finest, OP Jindal University. They did one of the first SDG report. Almost 10 states started following the same format because it came out like a story. We prepared that reporting, in fact. So what do you think is the 2 message you will want from Tirupur, and you feel that the other clusters can take it?
There's a lot of learnings from Tirupur, and as you rightly mentioned, this is being replicated in other parts of the country also. And to add on that, as you rightly mentioned about the current focus from the government, the kind of the focus on the renewable sector or the other kind of clean energy development. So I think this kind of things are really helpful and they are actually paving the way to a more sustainable world, and especially with the renewable, because I worked in a renewable company in the last instance, and we actually contributed to the addition of almost around 10 gigawatt of solar power to the grid. Okay, and it's not only that, we also ventured into the green hydrogen business, and the battery storage system that we talked about, and we also have the hydro pump system. So the PSP, the pump storage project. So these are some of the new innovative areas which will help to decarbonize the overall industry. So I think the path is very, and I'm optimistic that we'll be able to reach the net zero target much before 2670 if this kind of growth and development is going forward.
You know, beach, we have 1700 kilometers of sea coast in India. Thanks to you, Bombay has a culture of now cleaner beaches. Goa is now struggling under the tourist pressure in such a manner, especially the North Goa part. So, are you going to think about a beach hour or something where once in, like you go to the beach, I think weekends is something which you, what is the model? Can you explain what exactly you do? How do you get celebrities that particular time? And can we create a beach hour?
So yeah, we have already planned that. We are doing that in December.
Trademark मैं register करा दूंगा.
So basically, while I was here today at 10:30, 11 o'clock, we already had 800 volunteers at the beach in the morning who cleaned Dadar and Juhu. So idea is not about Chinu Kawatra. Idea is about the team. Idea is about to create your clones who can work in terms of environment and without money. So we need that heart at the right place where the volunteers are coming on ground and doing their part. The idea is not the cleanup. Cleanup karne se, we are not pointing out on government that the part is not clean. We want to make people understand what mess we have created on the beach. And that's the reason, the moment you come for the cleanup, sir, you will understand someday or the other, you have littered this, or openly, unknowingly or knowingly have thrown this packet or something. So that will hit your guilt. And in India, things will change only if the ego hurts. So we need to hurt the ego of the people at the right way so that the plastic menace and the debris goes away. With that, we want to focus beach cleanup. I want to, my whole goal of beach warriors is to close down beach warriors. It can only be when we can, when the beaches are clean. Now we are focusing towards the awareness part, because the coastal line, we were talking about rivers. In Mumbai, Meethi River is the known river which is known as Nala. Now it, on daily basis, more than 2,000 tons of garbage is coming out from that river itself. And we need to focus on the recycling, we need to focus on awareness. This year, my target is to start the recycling unit from the beach itself. So there is, in India, there is a concept where only the hard plastic or the polythene is getting recycled. So we are talking about the beach plastic, which will get recycled. I have successfully done it since last 7 years now. We have made a couple of benches, baskets, and all these things out of the beach plastic itself. So we are focusing now with the cleanup. हम अपना कचरा उठाएंगे, हम अपने आप ही उसको साफ करेंगे, recycle करेंगे, so that we can run that model successfully, and it is a self-sustainable plan.
I have a supplementary question, because I know ego is a big issue, especially in our country. It's a big issue. हमसे आगे कोई इंडिगो में होता है, अगर वो पहले उठ के बाहर निकलना चाहता है तो हमको बहुत बुरा लग जाता है. हमारा ईगो तो बहुत ही बड़ा है. So आप फंड कहाँ से करते? Where do you fund all of this?
So 3 years back, I planned to stop this project because I was exhausted totally. My credit cards were totally empty because of the project Beach Warriors, because you need to take care of the volunteers, you want to provide them refreshments, if not money, and all these things. A couple of years back, two corporates who came as a support to us, Transworld Group and Kalpatru. Now we are looking out for more corporates and more area, not only Mumbai. So we already done a cleanup in Goa. We did a cleanup in Surat. We want to get into South because beaches.
कमल, इनकी जो टी-शर्ट्स होती हैं उस पर जितने लोगों हम लोग मिलके लगवा सकते हैं लगवाएं, ताकि सब लोग कुछ ना कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकें.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
thank
I'm
you.
happy to be part of that
Thank
in any
you.
case.
Thank
That's the starting point, I
Thank
think.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just a small story to share here. There was this surfer who was based in UK. I still have his YouTube link with me, who interviewed me. He came to Mumbai specially to interview a person who is cleaning the beach. Reason, sir, हमारा महानंदा दूध का पैकेट यूके के ओशन में मिला. यूके में ओशन में महानंदा दूध का पैकेट मिला. कैसे गया वहां तक? बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली इट इज अ साइंस. द गार्बेज ट्रैवल्स. इट इज नॉट सीइंग एनी बाउंड्रीज. सो वी आर इन दुबई. Unfortunately or fortunately, what will happen after 20 years if the beach is not clean in Mumbai? It will pollute the other cities, other countries too. So we have to step up.
And amazing. So on this, I have to tell you that very recently, have you heard about that a social worker, environmentalist? She got a special IT product, and she threw it in her dustbin. It was picked up by the municipal authorities in some country. I'm not telling a lot of details. And then she had the science to see the journey of the waste on her laptop, that where it finally land up and how much truth is there on the recycling part. And horrifying details have come up. So it's not about India, it's about a very important country, but that research is under process right now. A lot of people have gone to stop it, in fact, because this will open up a very different debate. Actually, you are picking up everything or you are doing it in a particular thing. The second part is, you talked about plastic, that when it comes to textiles, total whatever we manufacture, and I want you to think when you will say about that, 60 to 70% goes in e-waste. Like today, it's a fashion that I have 30 sets of suits. Or all of us, even male also, we all have become like great consumers we are. So where will this always stop? So first you mentioned the plastic, but I'll come to you on that part, that what do we do about the trash coming out of the textile industry? Because 65, unused also, a lot of unused also. I'll come to you first, we'll go to the plastic part, yeah.
Yeah, so like you rightly pointed out, I mean, it is a challenge, and also like we see in my opinion would be on this thing is that, like, if I give you a very common example, you talked about stories. If I tell you a story, today you go to a restaurant or anything, what is the first thing that you notice? The plastic cups have been now replaced by the biodegradable or paper cups. That's a good move. Right, the straws again are now maybe paper, biodegradable, or steel in some cases. So first is the reduce mechanism, which is playing its part, which is very important, that, like, we reduce or limit the use of plastics wherever we can. Like I mentioned, in industries like ours, healthcare and hospitals, wherein, like, we rely heavily on plastics to keep our products safe and sterile. There, I believe, currently we do not have technologies to reduce. So there is where what we are doing currently, we are focusing on recycling part of it, right? And then, of course, like you mentioned, I mean, I studied in my school days, thankfully. I was not those kids who didn't pay attention, is the reuse part, right? So there can be mechanisms wherein, like, like I talked about the steel straws, which are, I believe, better than biodegradable paper straws as well, which we can just use, keep on continuing and using. And yes, I believe the corporate world, or we as individuals, need to become more responsible in this part. Like, I give you one more story wherein we at Microlabs, from World Environment Day, which is on 22nd June, to World Earth Day, 22nd April, to World Environment Day, 5th June, we did 16 plastic cleanup drives. We went to beaches, we went to railway stations, we went to bus stops and everywhere, and we collected plastics. Our employees collected plastics in 16 locations pan-India, and we collected around 3,200 kilograms of plastics in those 16 plastic cleanup drives. And yes, of course, that was then added on to our neutrality index as well, wherein it was reduced from that. So these kind of initiatives corporates can take, individuals, we as individuals can take, in any of the 3 R's that I talked about, where we can contribute, we should contribute. So I believe that's the right way.
Very well. So,
All right. On the textile, the waste part, so it is of course a fact that there is a lot of rejection happening in the textile industry, and be it the quality rejection or any kind of manufacturing defect or anything of that sort. So if you look at the Western world, there is a lot of focus on the sustainable clothing these days. So which means that whatever is rejected, so they try to make it reuse. So this is actually something which is happening in a great momentum, and people in the Western world especially, so they have a tendency to use some products which are made from recyclable things. So it is again adding brand reputation as well as the customer loyalty. So in many cases, the fact is that these products are priced higher than the normal rate. So the customers are willing to pay a premium for such recyclable product. So I think that kind of opportunity is of course there in the textile waste also.
and also, I think repeated studies in last 4-5 years have shown that in the morning, Dr. Nagar talked about the packaging and everything. I was part of the petitions where packaging industry were involved, and we have tried to reduce the plastics in the entire packaging thing. Even for the e-commerce companies, one mobile phone will go from one place to another place, how much layer of packaging was happening. We have taken initiatives that without going to court, we have given them enough ammunition that, look, Pollution Control Board can be approached and you will have a problem. E-commerce companies have started doing. But the best part is, consumers have started demanding. What my brother is saying, consumers have started demanding that please don't package it in so many manners. I think in India, a very important churn is happening in urban centers like Delhi. Has anybody realized in Delhi that breathing has become much better in last 20 years? One of the reason is a default action. So when odd event happened, two-wheelers were exempted. And we all kept on saying they are highly polluting 10 years back, but nobody listened. Because the new party which had come in power, they wanted for obvious reasons to exempt them, because they are two-wheelers. They are the people who get everything for free. And free culture is very important. So it was said, no, we can't touch them, polluted hai to kya hua? Now that whole sector of 30 to 60 lakhs actually, more than 60 lakhs, is slowly shifting to electric vehicles. Why? Not for the love of the planet alone. Because traveling from office to home due to increased traffic in a petrol scooter or a motorcycle was much more costlier for him. It was costing him 3,000 rupees per month, 3,000 to 4,000 rupees depending upon the distance in Delhi. Now what he did, he bought an electric scooter which has mushroomed in last 5 years only. It has reduced Delhi's pollution by 18%. Now that's the figure for you. So if you have a very dynamic chief minister again in Delhi, I'll say just say that no non-electric vehicle can be registered in the national capital region. If you really want to solve the problem, that monumental like Delhi, where the poorest of the poor is the biggest victim of the climate change. The pregnant woman which goes to the government hospital on bus or an auto rickshaw, she faces more problem and her unborn child faces more problem than me going in my air-conditioned car. And we are not making it an issue, one day we will have to make it an issue. So if we can convince that, the whole debate will drastically change. Shinu, your last final thoughts. Will you think about Yamuna also a little bit? We don't have beaches, but can you help us? Yamuna.
Sir, I already started doing that, Yamuna River cleanup. And unfortunately, I want to say it on this dais that after 3 weeks, we were stopped by the authorities.
Leave it there. I know the reasons.
So definitely we want to get into, the idea is not the cleanup I said. Ideas
So I'll
to
just
change
tell
the
you
mind.
one thing. I live in Noida, and thanks to successive government, they have made railings on the, and this is a very important aspect for all of us, railings on the Yamuna River when we come to Delhi. I can see people climbing the railings. So railings have become higher and higher with every passing government. They realize people dump the plastic, people dump all kind of stuff which we use in puja and other stuff. They climb, उसको कुतुब मीनार भी बना देंगे तो भी climb करके उसमें डालेंगे. And they all are fancy people. How do we only expect government or Chinu to clean up? What about us? When somebody, Dr. Bhasin said that so many cars, every family, we have all have become so accustomed. So my problem is different here. How do we tell? How did you convince volunteers, all these people to come and join? यहाँ तो हमारे ईगो पे लग जाएगी अगर हम बोलेंगे कि आप पेड़ को बचा लो, गंदगी मत करो, यमुना में प्लास्टिक मत डालो, कोई नहीं सुनता है.
सर इसका ना सबसे पहला जो क्रेडिट जाता है इट इज टू स्वच्छ भारत अभियान ऑब्वियसली बिकॉज दैट हैज हेल्प पीपल टू कम आउट ऑफ द सोसाइटी from their comfort zone to do the cleanups because when they see their leaders are cleaning the floors they definitely want to come down. Secondly, we need strict rules. COVID had strict rules. Without mask directly fine were imposed then and there. Why not now? The littering, the marshals should be there. Try do it in the other country. Go out and try littering in Dubai itself. How many dirhams का फाइन आज लगेगा आपको, आप देख सकते हो.
बिल्कुल सही बात है.
That marshals and that strict laws are needed on ground to stop people because nowadays India में सब चलता है तो चलने के चक्कर में बेचारे एनवायरनमेंट की बैंड बजे जा रही है.
हाँ तो पब्लिक को भी अपने को बदलना पड़ेगा. आपने बात बोली.
Definitely.
Yes, Ashish. Final thought.
So completely agree that we have to be more responsible in terms of our action and like you rightly pointed out and he pointed out. So I would also just want to add one more point that yes, state governments also have a very important role to play over here. Individuals of course do have. So case in point, I was reading recently 4-5 days back, Bangalore is known to produce the most e-waste out of any city in India because it's the silicon capital and everything. So the government is coming up with a buyback policy wherein they'll buy it from the corporates, whatever e-waste they are generating. So state government's role is important, but yes, definitely an individual's role is also very important. Small actions that we do, like for example, now I have personally stopped saying no to a server giving me a plastic bottle. I tell him to give me water in a glass. If I am in office, if I am in a restaurant, anywhere, I always ask for a glass of water rather than a plastic bottle of water. So yes, small changes I believe will go long way.
Yeah. Sir, Norway is going to have only non-fossil fuel vehicles from next year. They had a deadline, deadline they have made. They have almost reached to that level. First country in the world to have no fossil fuel vehicles. What is the situation of EV you feel? Because you are from energy sector. And will we be able to create sustainable batteries and the boom which is happening, or will have handicaps or roadblocks like United States is facing?
EV, I believe that's a great thing to happen. And as you rightly mentioned, Norway and Finland, for that matter also, they are pioneers in terms of using fuel cells and the electric vehicles. So, but when it comes to an Indian context, I would say that EV will be successful provided we have all the infrastructure available in the country. So I'm sure that there is a lot of momentum happening in terms of providing the charging stations, because IOCL or HPSCL, they also have come up with charging stations every nook and corner of the country. So all this infrastructure improvements will definitely catalyze the conversion to EV. And not only that, if you read the article, news a couple of days before, some of the major the automobile manufacturers, they have slashed the prices for the EV vehicles.
Yes.
Okay, so like Tata is, taking a lead in that, and followed by other companies in the country.
Yep.
So if that happens, of course, there will be much momentum, and also the incentives from the government. So that also is helping to gain a lot of thing. But at the moment, this is more of a case for the urban sector. When it comes to the rural India, there is still a long way to go. And also to add on one point which Dr. Chinnu was mentioning on the impact of CSR and all on the social change. So I wanted to share one experience from my side. So because CSR fund is a corporate requirement, it's a requirement as per the MCA law and the Company Act. So 2% of the fund has to be earmarked for the corporate social responsibility. But I have seen in my personal experience also, like majority of this fund is not being utilized properly. And at the end of the year, what happens is that this fund will go to some of the common funds like the PM National Disaster Relief Fund. So a major chunk of this is going to that. The reason being, we are not finding trustworthy NGOs to collaborate or to partner with to ensure that this is actually making a real social impact.
I agree.
So
Point.
I think corporate plays a big role in
Absolutely.
this.
So we are absolutely out of time, and I just want to say the last part on the charging. Again, the private sector enterprise is going to create a unimaginably beautiful situation. Blue Smart, we think that they are doing electric vehicle. They are basically creating a charging infrastructure which will become their main business one day. We have here one more person, very important, fintech sector, where people used to go to banks and wait for hours. He started the whole escrow thing, which is very important. Ashwini is here, and he started that fintech company where you don't have to really go and stand in line and spend so much of fuel. So all these new age companies are making a big difference. Thanks a lot for this wonderful discussion. I hope all of you enjoyed. Bye.
Thank you very much.
I would request Kamal to please come up on stage and present our esteemed speakers with mementos. Thank you for sharing your thoughts so candidly with the audience. I request you to please present a memento to Dr. Abhilash Raghavan, Director, ESG Sustainability and Safety, HSEI. A memento for Mr. Ashish Ahlawat of Microlabs. A memento for Dr. Chini Quatra, social influencer and founder, Khushia Foundation. And a memento for Dr. Sudhir Mishra, founder and managing partner, Trust Legal and Door Tenant, United Kingdom.